So this video starts out as a how-to video. Today I'm going to be installing the upfitter switches and I'm going to show you how to get that done. But it ends in a horror show with a crash and burn. I installed the JL upfitter switches and everything was going nice and smooth and easy until I put everything back together, got my taser, programmed the Jeep, and hit the button. So instead of doing a how-to video, I figured I would do a full-out review video for these switches from Mopar that you can install on your Jeep. Now there's hundreds of videos out there of how to install it already, so I figured after owning these for almost a year, this would be the perfect opportunity for me to share with you guys if it's worth the money, if it's worth the hassle to install, and all the hoops that you have to jump through in order to make them work properly, and if there's any easier options out there. Let's find out in this video. So to start off, the switches come in at around $300 to $400 depending on where you get them, and if you get the ones with the black trim or if you get the ones with the chrome trim for the Rubicon. Mopar includes everything you need, including plastic rivets, the diagrams, the wiring connectors, and all the things that you need to do for the installation. The crappy thing is that you do have to take it to the dealer for them to unlock this feature in your Jeep, costing you another $100 to a couple $100 depending on what your dealer decides to charge you. Mopar uses a single wire for communication, and these switches are basically computerized, so in order to make them work, you have to flash the PCM. Now the other option you can do is get the JL Taser programmer, which is going to allow you to unlock this feature yourself, but that again is going to cost you another $320 to $350 depending on where you get it. Now let's start with the installation process. The installation process itself is kind of tedious work. It involves taking apart your factory wire harnesses, pulling wires out of it, repinning, and on top of that, the Mopar instructions are not the greatest because it uses pictures for you to follow how to do things, including cutting a coat hanger, straightening it out, wrapping wires to it, and sliding it through a rubber grommet with plenty of lube. In my opinion, this is completely unnecessarily overcomplicated with the fact that you have to hack up your factory wiring harness in order for this to work, and wiring up your own connectors. They could have made this a completely just simple plug-in and play product, but they decided that, hey, leave it to the dealer. We'll make it complicated enough so that you can't do it on your own driveway. And if you do, you still need to go to the dealer to unlock them. So I proceeded to install the switches, ripping my Jeep apart like an onion layer by layer, trying to get to where the harnesses need to be redone, and running all these wires and ripping my dash apart and trying to figure out what's what and where the wires are gonna go. Plugging in my JL Taser, reprogramming my Jeep, and go to turn on my switches, and of course they don't work. So I got everything ripped out again and I'm working in the dark. I have troubleshooted everything that I could possibly troubleshoot. I checked the orange wire, I checked everything, I checked the fuses, I reflashed the taser, I took the taser inside and updated, brought it back, plugged it in, married it again to the Jeep, set everything up, and I couldn't figure out what the hell I did that was wrong. After tracing everything back and trying to troubleshoot for the next few hours to try to figure out what I did wrong and where it went wrong, I tried everything. In the end, it ended up being my fault because the picture that I was looking at in the instructions, I was looking at the plug ass backwards, and I ended up doing the wrong wire pattern on the plug that plugs into the switch panel, causing it to just not turn the switches on or light up. So basically, looking at the upfitter switch in here, I have 4 pins coming out on top and 3 pins on the bottom. If I go to plug it in and look at my switch, I have it opposite. I have 4 wires on the bottom and 3 wires on top. Once I discovered the problem, I was easily able to reverse that, plug it into the right spots, and presto, it was working just the way it should. Oh, they lit up! And they work! This was the single-handedly most dumbest mistake I've ever made, but The switches work. Now, I'm not going to bash it and say that this thing completely sucks, because this was totally my own fault for wiring up incorrectly into the plug. But I am, however, going to say that, again, it really doesn't have to be this complicated. Now, the whole reason I ended up going with these switches in the first place was because I really love the way it looks from the factory with the switches integrated into the dash. Also, the convenience of being able to program your own switches on the screen to the way that you need them to, whether it's a temporary or it's a latch, or if you want it to come on as you start your ignition or the motor starting. Everything is customizable, and having a clean looking dash with factory looking switches installed, it was something that I really wanted. So moving past the overcomplicated installation and the 4-hour hiccup that I had installing it, after starting to hook up all my accessories over the next couple of weeks, I soon discovered that 4 switches is just not enough. So this brings me to the next point. Is it really worth the effort, time, and money for these factory Mopar switches? And in my opinion, if you have more than 4 things to hook up, honestly, I really don't think it's worth the money. I think there are a lot better options out there for you to install that's going to give you a clean look, as well as more options to customize with more switches, and probably even for a lower price. So would I recommend these switches from Mopar? Probably not. I think the biggest issue is all the hoops you have to jump through to get them to work. Like I said, if it was a plug in and play, I think I'd be very happy for the cost and for what it is. But in my case, if I ever have to go through this again, I'm probably gonna go the aftermarket route. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel, because I'll have more videos like this, and I will see you in the next video. Later.